Okay, so good evening, everyone. It is a great pleasure, as usual, to see you all coming here tonight. And I must admit that I believe that when you saw the topic of today, it sounds a little strange. I don't know if you had a chance to look into it, but the topic that we chose to discuss tonight is called, what is it called? I almost forgot. No, no, relax, I know. It's called unity via separation. And a lot of people, when they hear the words unity via separation, might have some hard time to understand what it really means. But the truth of the matter, it's a very, very simple concept. It's a very simple concept, not when we know about it. It's not a simple concept when we talk about it. It's a simple concept when we practice it. So as they say, knowledge, wisdom is power. It's not really, because it's only power when we use what we know. And it's pretty simple example, pretty simple idea. Now, do you remember the time that you started the relationship getting into marriage? I know that some of you are in that stage right now. Some of you can pick it up from your memories. But you definitely remember the days, the moments that you started to date and you start to develop a relationship with her, with him, whatever it was. And in those moments, every dream that you had was so pink and beautiful. And we always had, so to speak, fantasies that the more time this relationship will stay, will last, the better off life will be, because I'm gonna love him/her even more, and life will be so beautiful, and we're gonna get along. And as you can see, when a young couple comes to you and they're just about to get married, you see the spark on their face. Do you remember these sparks? Do you remember those feelings, those butterflies that we always had, that we dreamed that life will be so beautiful? And it's very interesting to see it when you look at a young couples or just about to get married, and you look at them and you say, what's the plan? You say, we're going to get married. And why are you want to get married? Because we love each other. And what do you see positive in your girlfriend that you really think she's, some of you that went through my horrible couches, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And you ask, what do you like about her? Well, what do you mean? She's the best girl in the world. She's really an amazing, amazing girl. And you ask him, what did you find about her? And what you ask the girl, what did you find about? Hey, he's an amazing guy. He's supportive. He's strong. He's powerful. He's smart. He's genius. He's this. He's that. He's coming from a good family. He's great. I mean, you're gonna hear endless compliments, and we really have a feeling life is going to be paradise. Remember those feelings? The only problem is that those feelings in reality, statistically, do not have a life-last shelf life. In reality today is that if you can find today a couple after 10 years of marriage that have the same feelings, you can definitely get them the Nobel Prize for success. Because we know that it's rare. We know it's a little bit unusual to find those people. My question that I would like to address tonight is, what is it? What is the preservative that we can use? Not to get married, but rather to remain into this system with those holy and beautiful feelings and emotions. Is there any formula? Is there any preservatives that we can use today that we can keep this relationship in the most beautiful way ever? Now, the answer to this question is definitely yes. And not only that I believe it's yes, I can tell you not only from my own experience, but from many people's experiences that I've met and encountered in my entire life in this business. Not only that it's doable, not only it's definitely possible to have a beautiful relationship for years, for life, It's also very simple. It's not too complicated. And if you want to remember that, I always call it the KISS system. KISS, you know what KISS stands for? The abbreviation of KISS is keep it super simple. Life should not be too complicated, and it's very, very simple. When I say simple, what do I mean by that? Here is the deal. You definitely remember in many scenarios in your life, and if not from your own life, you definitely heard that in many cases that you witnessed. I'll give you that scenario from experience that I had in endless numbers. You see a couple that comes to your house and sitting on your couch when they want to present to you a marriage problem, okay? And they come to your house, and you can imagine, you can definitely imagine that. They're coming to the house and you look at the lady and you say, what is the problem that you would like to present? What is going on in your house? What are the problems? What do you think, what you can guess? The first word she's going to say. Exactly. The first word she's going to say will be he. You have to understand, he is like this, he's like that. He doesn't respect me, doesn't care about me, doesn't compliment me. He, the common denominator of all the sentences she's going to use will be starting with the word he. And if you turn to him and you say, sir, what do you experience at home? I know it's very hard to guess what will be his first word. She. It's true, it's a reality. Whenever they're going to sit next to you presenting a problem, in his glasses, throughout his glasses, he will see her is the problem. And when you're going to speak to him, he definitely see from A to Z that the ultimate reason why our household is not working properly is because of she is. Sometimes it's not only she, sometimes it's her mom too. So it doesn't necessarily has to do with her. And it gets even better. It gets much better when you go into it and you look at this girl that just told you 17 and a half times the word he. And you said to her, tell me something. You don't want to blame her, God forbid, on anything. But so you go delicate, right? You go a little bit, in a sensitive words, and you ask this way. If you're a therapist, that's what you do. You say, ma'am, I understand that he's horrible, he's terrible, he doesn't know anything, he doesn't treat you properly. But let me ask you a question, if I may. You got to say, if I may. Is there anything that you believe, not that's your fault, that you believe that you could have done differently? In other words, is there anything in your relationship that you believe you could have done differently or better? And if you are Israeli, this is how the next sentence will begin. אני יודעת שאני לא טליתי כולה. תחילת. I know I am not too perfect person. But I am not the problem, and there is nothing I could have done better. And you see how easy it is to realize that since the moment we were born, we always believe that the core reason of our troubles belong to some outside forces and nothing to do with me. We simply refuse to take what I call a very simple way, self-responsibility. Self-responsibility is not in our vocabulary. It's much easier to see the other side and to believe that the moment the other side will perfect himself or herself, my life will be better when you will change. I got to tell you something. I have a friend of mine here in LA that I came to his office one day for a completely different topic, and he said to me, what are you doing those days? I said, I'm working in marriage counseling. He looked at me straight to my eyes and said, you guys are all, for the sake of the recording, I cannot repeat his words. So he said to me, you guys are all bunch of BS people. Because you believe you can change people and you believe you can change relationships. Those changes will never happen. As a matter of fact, you guys are thieves. Thieves, why not? Why that? He said to me, I spent $20,000 in my relationship. Nothing helped. $20,000 I paid and no change in my house. I said, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Could you please tell me, what did you tell the therapist that you paid him $20,000? He said, I went to the therapist and I told him, here is $20,000 and you need to change my wife. And I said to him very clearly, you got what you paid for. Because the therapist is not the problem. The counselor is not the issue. The issue is your la la land dream, believing that you can change another human being. It's very nice to dream and to fantasize that you can change other people. And we truly believe we can. Not only we can, we need. Not only we need, we must. Because my life should be better by only one condition. The other person will change. And I was, wondering for many years, where did we get this from? By the way, you should know that it gets very, very, very funny in many cases. In many cases, it gets very funny to some extent that it's difficult to believe. I'll give you just one or two examples which are very, very typical in our community. I remember many people, you all know what a ketubah is, right? I know people, seriously, no jokes, that are married for 15, 20 years. And they have such a horrible relationship. Very difficult household and family structure. All of a sudden they hear that there is a rabbi who came from Israel, that he knows how to take a look on your ketubah. He knows how to read ketubot in a very mysterious way. So they go to him. This husband that comes home every single day and literally terrorize the house, scream and yell and being disrespectful and cannot give one word to his wife and really treat the house as a terrible place. Goes to this rabbi. He reads the ketubah. And in the line number 16, this rabbi finds that there is a letter dalet, which is written in a mistake way, in a wrong way. And he said, oh, you know why you have troubles at home? Because of this letter. That's why. The fact that you are a terrorist has nothing to do with your relationship. The fact that you are screaming and yelling and cursing your wife day in and day out has nothing to do with your relationship. What really, really is the problem is this dalet. Thank God now I found out what the problem is. And it might be funny if it was a false description. You have no idea how many people really do believe in that. You have no idea how many people believe in that. It gets even better. There are people that nothing that they do works in their life. And you know what they say? Oh, do you know why I'm suffering? Have you ever heard about an ayn hara? Evil eye. And it's a winning case. When you say ayn hara, it's the best thing. You know why? Because you don't have to prove it. When you say ayn hara, you don't have to prove it. And everybody believes in that. Everybody understands that. And I can run any kind of terrible, terrible relationship at home. And my real problem is my mother-in-law put her eye on our relationship. And when she put her eye on our relationship since day one that she saw me, and this is it. There's nothing we can do about it. My husband is suffering, I'm suffering, the kids suffering, not because we don't know how to communicate, not because we don't know how to treat each other, not because we don't know how to manage a proper house. No, it's just because of her eye, her evil eye. By the way, I don't want you to think badly about mothers-in-law. Not all of them are bad. In Israel they said, Do you know why you bury a mother-in-law 18 feet down? Oh, absolutely not. Every person we buried is 6 feet down. A mother-in-law, 18 feet down. Do you know why? Because the reality is that deep down, they're good people. So they don't really mean bad, but they can definitely destroy your life. But in any case, we have to understand that this is not just a funny idea. It is in reality part of our characteristics that we developed in our entire life. To find someone to blame my troubles on. And I was wondering, where did we get this from? Where did it start? I'm sure that if you ever opened Torah in your life, you know exactly where it started. Right? Adam and Eve. It's very simple. When God said to Adam, do not eat from the tree, and he did eat from the tree, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu came to him. God came to him and said, Hamin ha'etz asher amarti lecha levilti achol mimenu achalta. Did you eat? What was the question? Did you eat from the tree I told you not to? What was the answer that Adam had to answer? What he had to say, one letter, one word. Yes, did you eat? Did I ask you why you ate? Why are you a Jewish complicated guy? What did I ask you? Did you eat? What did you say? Ken, yes, I ate. He didn't say that. He said, Haisha asher natata imadi. He natna li min ha'etz va'ochel. The woman, you have to pay attention to that. He did not just justify it by saying she gave it to me. He put a blame on HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself, on God himself. He put a blame and he said, Haisha asher natata, you gave me that woman, right? You gave me that present. Haisha asher natata imadi, he, remember this word? He in Hebrew means she, right? He natna li min ha'etz. She gave it to me, so I ate. But there is a key word that when God came to Adam, he told him one word. He asked him where he was. Do you remember what the word was? When God came to Gan Eden, he looked for Adam. And he said, and Adam hid. He hid himself. Huh? He hid himself somehow that Hashem will not find him. So what did Hashem say to him? One word. Where are you? But how did he say, where are you? Ayeka. Hashem came to Adam and said, Ayeka, where are you? What does that mean, where are you? God doesn't know where he was? What does that mean, Ayeka? Ayeka means the ultimate question that we always have to ask ourselves. On a daily basis, on every single incident, on every single scenario that's going on in our house. Ayeka means, where are you? Where are you means, I know your mom is a problem. I know your neighbor is a problem. I know the president of the United States is a problem. I know the economy is the problem. I know your kids are the problem. I know your mother-in-law is the problem. I know the whole world's problems. But what is the ultimate question? The ultimate question God asked Adam is the question we always have to try to ask ourselves. Ayeka. Ayeka means, where are you? Where is your self-responsibility? Where is your brain characteristics, actions that were involved in what created this scenario, this situation? Ayeka, where are you? But we have to understand that in this dialogue, in this corresponded between Adam and God about what happened, Adam knew that he's talking to God. He was not talking to his friend. And he did not use a first grade response. But when he said, this lady caused this trouble to me, he meant to say, which is true, that there are many outside forces in our life that has power to have some impact and influences on our lives. It's not, let me give you a simple example, financial aspect, okay? financial aspect is one of the main causes for family destruction. But you can say, hey, you got to be strong, you shouldn't care, you have to learn how to manage. It's nice on the paper, it's nice on the resume, but in reality, it causes pain. It causes struggle. There is no doubt. Not that money will make you happy in life, but yes, when you are lacking it, when you are missing it, it can create some discomfort that can affect a little bit your happiness, which will directly affect your life. There is no doubt about it. Does that make sense? So the outside forces have power, but our job is to try to do whatever we can in our own power to be responsible for what's going on in our lives. You should know sometimes the people that would like to rely on other outside forces as to blame for their troubles, many of us very often even easily using God Himself as an example. I'll give you an example that you might not hear normally or from a rabbi. Sometimes you can call a friend, and hear me well. You call a friend and you say, hey, I'm struggling in some problem. It can be anything. I'm struggling financially, I'm struggling medically, I'm struggling, whatever you struggle with. It happens, we're normal human beings. Whenever you have friends, you make a phone call, I'm struggling. Sometimes you can hear the response on the other side of the line, starting with the words, don't worry, Hashem yahazor, God will help. Do you know what God will help means? That I am not going to. That's what it really means. When somebody's drafting God, God will help. Don't worry about it. This is not your job to call Him to help. But if I call you for help, I might need you to do something about it. So whenever we use God, we have to be extremely careful in self-responsibility, not to blame God for something He's not to be blamed for. In Hebrew, it's kind of a joke. People say, you know, how is everything? It's Baruch Hashem. You say, Baruch Hashem. You say, why? What did Baruch do that he's always Hashem? He's always guilty. But the main idea is that we should not blame outside forces in our lives and rather try to separate ourselves from the situation and try to see what I can do better. Now, what I would like to do tonight is to try to discuss about 5 examples. I hope time, not examples, 5 foundations that I believe has an incredible power to help us to take our relationship, separate ourselves from the situation, and try to solve it by default. And I want to explain what by default means. You know, when you have darkness in the room and you don't like this darkness, what is it, metaphorically obviously, what is it that you need to do in order to push the darkness out? Is there any tool in the world you can push darkness out? You cannot push it. What you really can do and what you really want to do, and that will be the directions of what we're going to do tonight. Instead of fighting darkness, metaphorically, try to light one candle. Instead of fighting bad, try to create goodness. And try to create goodness means it's very, very easy to say and very difficult to do. But it's worth it. Instead of fighting the bad, even if your wife really drives you crazy, even if your husband really gives you a hard time, instead of seeing him as a monster, and instead of fighting his bad ideas, try to separate yourself from the picture and see what you can do to improve the situation? What can I do better? How can I behave in a better way, regardless of their behavior? Regardless of the outside forces, what can I do at this moment to improve the situation in the house? And we have to know that in any dynamics of relationships between people, most people in the world cannot fight a smile. I don't know if you ever met happy people. Do you ever meet happy people? Sometimes they can be very, very annoying because you cannot stand why they're so happy. When you call a friend and you just simply say, hey, how are you doing? And the answer on the other line is fabulous. My life is paradise. People have pain to hear that. They said, hey, well, what happened? Like, well, what are you so happy? We feel much more comfortable to hear people saying, listen, it's difficult, we got to do it, we're fighting. Those are more common answers that we can swallow in an easier way and digest in a much easier way. Because it's difficult to see those happy people. But when you see happy people, how difficult, we have to admit, how difficult it is to fight them. You go to somebody and you say, I really don't like the way you behave. Oh, really? I'm so sorry. Did I cause you some pain? I'm really, really sorry. I'll do anything to make you feel better. I truly apologize. Did you ever see anybody can fight those people? It's impossible. You need a fighter to fight against. You cannot fight sweetness. You cannot fight a smile. It's very, very difficult. So in order to fight darkness or any kind of negatives around us, instead of focusing on how to fight it and how to push it out of our lives, it's much better to try to increase the goodness from within. When you light a candle, everybody around you will see it. Everybody will be attracted to it. And within any kind of darkness, you will be there. Your presence will be there. And when you come home, try it at home in practical level. Try to come home and have a big smile, even after a very long day at work or whatever happened to you throughout the day. You come back home and you try to come with a positive attitude. And you come to your wife, if this is the situation, you come to your wife and you say to her, good evening, how are you? How was your day? I'm so happy to see you. I was in the car all the way to here and I was thinking about, coming and greeting you and saying, how many women are you going to say, go to where? You are such a terrible person. I mean, if she really does it, you really need help. Really, this is a serious psychic situation. There's no doubt. Somebody that you go to him and you give him $100 and he give you a slap back, very unusual, very rare, and we all agree that it's not common. The main idea is that I would like to go on a few practical foundations and fundamental concepts, how to take self-responsibility and make our life the way we want that and the way we always dreamed at the beginning of the relationship, because it's not too complicated, as I said. The foundation number one, the point number one is, I tell it to a lot of couples, really a lot of couples that's struggling in relationships. Remember when I said at the very beginning, when you speak to her, she tells you about him, and when you speak to him, he tells you about her. But there is one more important point that we have to get out of. And I tell it to endless people when they start to grasp the idea and really act on it, life change, no doubt about it. And that is, get out of the courthouse in your home. Get out of your courthouse in your home means do not use any kind of blame, any kind of giving a credit of fault of any kind of things that happen in the house. And this is very, very crucial. It is definitely possible that two people are in a conflict at the house and it's nobody's fault. One of the biggest rabbis used this as an example. He said, if you take, hear that, it's an incredible line. He said, if you take a car key and you try to open your home door, will it open? Will it work? No. Whose fault is that? The key or the door? I said, nobody's. It's just not a good match. The point I'm trying to say, it's very simple. We should start a dialogue and communication between ourselves out of the court system. Out of the court system means stop blaming each other. Blaming in communication shuts off the other person. Very often in communication, when you say it, and I did not know how sensitive it might be, I can tell you personally, in my own life, in my own marriage, every time I start a sentence to my wife, towards my wife, with the words, let me teach you something, I lost her. The moment you take superiority in a relationship and say, let me teach you, meaning you are the student, I am the teacher, the moment you try to change her, the moment you try to teach her, that's the moment you lose her. It gets even worse. Sometimes, let me tell you where your mistake is. Let me tell you why you're wrong. The moment you say, let me tell you why you're wrong, you're wasting your breath by continue talking. But if you say, let me try to share with you how I believe our life can be better, those are not semantics. I want you to understand that it's not semantics. Those are crucial tools and channels of communication. Instead of taking the blame on one another, by the way, not only do not blame each other, do not even blame yourself. Do not use the word blame. Do not look for faults. Because somehow, maybe in our subconscious mind or the way we grew up, the way we were brought up, is that in every mistake or a conflict in life, you got to find somebody to blame. Because if you cannot find somebody to blame, you must blame yourself, and it's not comfortable. So we better find someone to blame. And it's as if when I found the one to blame, the problem is gone. That's not true. Problem will never disappear by finding who to kill. If I find who to kill, is not going to be effective. So get out of the court, and instead of looking who to blame, the questions has to be in a completely different ways. The question that we should ask ourselves, let's say we are in any kind of conflict at home. Let's discuss, not who to blame, but what do you believe I can do, to improve the situation? The current situation we are at home now is not healthy. It's not good for us. But what can I do? Not what you can do, but what can I do? Ask your wife. I don't know any woman in the world that will reply to this in a negative attitude. Ask her, what can I do? Do not ask, do you want me to tell you what I want you to change? No, what I can do. Separate yourself from the situation and focus on your own self-responsibilities. It makes miracles in a relationship when we change terminology, when we change the words that we're using towards each other. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to do it a little bit faster. And this is another rule that I'm using it myself for many, many, many years. And every time I share it with people who are brave enough to try it, people can see miracles in life. Please hear me and put this line that I'm going to tell you right now. You can write it down and put it on your refrigerator, on your computer, or in your car, because it makes miracles in life. It has to do a little bit with the justice world. And the line is, stop doing what's right. Do what works. Stop doing what's right. Stop being right. תפסיק להיות צודק. In Hebrew we say, אל תהיה צודק, תהיה חכם. But the idea is, do what works, meaning to say, and this is very, very important. I'll give you an example. Very often, not very often, in every case of a conflict between husband and wife, 99% of conflicts between husband and wife has one common denominator. They're all stupid. They're all stupid. I did not, and believe me, I've seen more than 1,000 couples in my life. I do not remember once I'm willing to pay to this couple who will come to me and present a real issues, a real problem. Sometimes I cannot say it, and it's not nice to say, but I cannot help myself. Sometimes it kills me to see two intelligent people, smart people, and what they're fighting over. It's amazing. But I'll give you an example. There are women that are sensitive to, איך אומרים סטרילי? They're very sensitive to their husband to be clean. Okay? They want their husband to be clean. Fair enough? A woman feels, many of them, that when your husband is not clean, meaning he's not taking care of himself physically, they're not attracted to him. They're not attracted to him. Is that a fair request from a wife towards her husband? Excuse me, when you come back from work, please go take a shower before you come to bed. I mean, it's very normal, even if today's Rosh Chodesh, but hey, you can do it. You don't have to do it only, at the beginning of the month. You should do it. I mean, I'm not, listen. Then you can complain till tomorrow why I'm not coming close to you, why I'm not kissing you and hugging you. Please go take care of yourself. Makes sense or not? There are husbands, there are men. I'm using this example from a woman to her husband because it's very typical. When it's happened in the opposite directions, it's really terrible. But it is, believe me. Believe me. There are people who believe that they should take a shower once a week, If I will give you cases right now, you will think I'm joking. But there are cases that can destroy marriages because she feels she needs to get married only. She needs to take a shower once a week. God bless America and bless her. But let me tell you something about her. She's not married anymore. But the idea is that this woman comes to her husband and she said to him, listen, you got to clean yourself. You got to take care of yourself, right? And he doesn't. Sometimes it's nothing to do with him being bad. It's a lot of times, in a lot of cases, that's the way he brought up. That's the way he grew up. Okay? He doesn't take care of himself. So she goes to him and she says, you have to take care of yourself. And she's extremely frustrated. Extremely frustrated. I had many of those cases. He is not taking care of himself. I cannot stand him. I cannot be next to him. He's disgusting. He's this, he's that. So I go to her and I say, what do you think is the problem? She says very clearly, I think my husband is deaf. He doesn't hear me. He doesn't listen to me. Now, stop right there for a second. What exactly is she trying to do? What exactly she's trying to do? Let's analyze it for a second. What does she want? What is the end result that she wants? That a clean husband, right? Very simple. She wants a clean husband. What tools is she using to get there? Without manipulation. What is she doing? She's telling him. My husband doesn't change. Why do you want him to change? Because I'm telling him. Because this lady believes that people change by telling them. If the world, if life will be this way, we're going to have to live, we will have paradise life everywhere we go. You see somebody smoking, stop smoking. It's not good. I told you stop. I told you to stop smoking. No, I understand you told me, but it doesn't help. If you really believe that it's enough, because I told him enough times to do it. If you believe by telling someone to change, he will change, good luck to you. The world is not functioning like that. It takes much more creative ideas how to help people to do any change. Go to any area you want. You want to change smoking, you want to change habits, you want to change behavior, you want to change screaming, you want to change anything you want to change. If you do not know how to approach the person and really help him to change, you will never be able to. And I'm not talking about changing a person, but changing a behavior that bothers you in a relationship. The world doesn't work by telling people what to do, what not to do. It would be a beautiful idea if we could do it. So what is the ultimate question that she should really ask? She should ask herself, what can be the proper method that I can change the way you behave? Or I can help you to take care of yourself. Sometimes, I call it, I don't know if you ever thought about it. I'm sure you've been there. I don't know if you ever thought about it. I use it as a method. And I call it the SeaWorld method. Do you know what a SeaWorld is? People can see it a million times and don't pay real attention to it. Raise your hand if you've ever been in SeaWorld, that you know what I'm talking about. Raise your hand if you've ever been in SeaWorld in San Diego. Yeah, so you all been there. Thank you so much. Now I know that you're listening. When you go to SeaWorld, you will see something fascinating, and it's pretty simple. They ask the dolphins or the shamus or whatever it is to do some performance, right? What do they do to them a second after they perform? They give him a fish. Let me tell you, you want to be a happy couple and a happy family? Use the SeaWorld method. I'm not joking at all. But don't give him fish every day. It smells and it stinks. But use, by the way, and vice versa, husband to wife and wife to husband. It's the same thing, it's mutual. Try to use this concept. When you want, this is the law of attraction. If you want someone to do something for you, make them feel so great with themselves so they will want to do it. Give them a reward. It can be a good word. And again, it's terminology. Do what works. Try to find out what works for your husband / to your wife. If it's a gift, if it's a good word, if it's a note on the pillow, if it's a hug, if it's a kiss, if it's whatever. Try to find what I call in a button language, in a button machines. What button to push to get this result? And stop believing I am right that my husband should be clean. Am I not? I am right. I have a right to demand that my husband will keep clean. Yeah, you have rights until tomorrow. Keep your rights. You know, in Israel, in a cemetery, there is a tombstone that says, Ponit man, here buried, holech regel, a pedestrian, who was right. Because he was walking on the street, and he saw a car for 150 miles per hour. He said, I'm sorry, I have a right to walk now. You go, keep your rights. You're going to die, but you're going to be tzodek. Ponit man olech regel, tzodek. You're right. What rights will take you? To where it's going to take you? What benefit and result? Stop doing what's right. Try to do what works. How do you know what works? I don't know. It's very individual. And it's changed between people and situations. But try to make your husband / your wife wanted to do it. And you can bribe them in so many different ways. You have no idea how much I love you when I smell the shampoo out of your head. I'm not joking. You think men are machos and big guys. It's not true. Good words, encouragements, compliments, support, love always work. And if method A doesn't work, try the method B. Don't take it literally and give them a fish every day. But try to understand the idea. And the idea is, in which positive way I can affect you? Why are you so nice to me today? Because you took a shower today. It makes me feel so great. You know what? Go to Target and buy him some special shampoo that you like. Whatever it is, be creative. I'm not joking, be creative. And I'm using this example because you can use it about any example. Any example. Your husband loves some kind of food that you cook for him. For whatever reason. It reminds him of his mother, or it reminds him of his, whatever it is. He likes it. Try to make it for him. Try to show to your wife how much you appreciate the fact that she does it for you. So stop doing what's right. Stop looking for right. You're not in court. You're not an attorney. Try to find out what works. When we do what works, it simply works. And guess what? If road A doesn't work, try road B. Don't accumulate frustration why he's not changing or she's not changing, even though I told him a million times. Your husband is not deaf. We have to understand, to make a change, a real change in life, it can be a world war in an inner person, in any area in life, in any area. I don't know how many of you ever tried diet. Okay, I'm not joking. Let me show you something. I started it right now, 6 weeks ago. I'm going to show you some fish. I went 6 weeks ago. I went on the scale in my house. I was 283 pounds. 283. I was just ready to buy a new one because this one was about to explode. And you think I'm joking. I fainted. I turned white. Not only I knew that I cannot walk and I cannot, tie my shoes, but I felt terrible. That morning, I made a phone call to my doctor and I went to him. And he told me, I realized that you gave up on life. That was his words. I said, do you really want to change? I said, absolutely. You have no idea what kind of a world war it is. If you ever went on diet, it's a world war. He told me, listen to me, if your willpower is not strong enough, go make a surgery. Go do the surgery. I mean, every insurance in the world will pay you because it's much cheaper for them to pay you for the surgery than taking care of your heart in an open heart surgery. They're going to do it for you, no problem. So he scared me bad enough, and I started it. And I want you to know, this is 6 weeks ago. I dropped 40 pounds since. But let me tell you what helped me to lose this card. This is the fish. You see the stars? Every week I'm losing weight. I go to him every week. I have a card. You see this card? I get a sticker. I'm 44 years old. I'm getting stickers. I'm not joking. I come home every Thursday. I come home at 10 o'clock in the morning after I see him. My kids come back from school, my two little ones. They come back from school. There is a ceremony in the house. Did you get a sticker? This is what keeps me alive. I'm 44 years old. This is less than 2 cents in value. But this is a life value. It sounds simple, right? It's a sticker. But that's a fish. That's the SeaWorld system. Try to find, by the way, the last week I didn't get. Because I only lost 3 pounds and you wanted me 4. I came home and I told my kids, I didn't get a sticker. They gave me a big hug and said, don't worry, keep doing it, don't give up. Sometimes it's difficult, don't give up. 10 years old and 5 years old. Don't give up, Abba, it's going to be fine, don't worry. You look great. But the point is, to make a change. Do you know how many people know that what they do, it's not good? Try to find a way to help them, only in a positive ways. So don't do what's right. Do what works. It's a very, very crucial point. Now, I'm going to touch the next point, the next foundation, with a little bit sensitivity because it's not super smart to use this idea. It's a little painful, but hear me well, please. And before you shoot the messenger, try to hear it. When you are in a relationship, when you are getting married, a lot of people, when they get married, they believe that they married a woman. And when you ask a woman, she believes that she married a man. We have to change terminology. When you marry a woman, do you know what you are actually married? You cannot imagine the word I'm going to say. You actually married a mirror. Mirror means, I know it's very painful. When your wife criticized you on a point, we have to admit it's very painful, right? Take it seriously. She sees what you don't want to see in yourself. She's not your opposition. She's not your enemy. She's the one that knows you and reads you better than you wish to read yourself. And again, I know it's very sensitive because sometimes it's very painful, and we all agree. We can hear criticism from anyone in the world. When it comes to listen to what our wives tells us, we feel terrible. We feel terrible. And the reason why is because she's telling us the truth. You know, it's very annoying sometimes when you meet people, whatever, in the market, and you go to a woman and you say, you know, I just met your husband. What a husband you have. I love your husband. He's such a great guy. Some woman losing their intelligence and tells you, really? Wait until you see him at home. I highly recommend you as women do not use this. Somebody tells you your husband is great, say, yeah, you're right. You don't even know how great he is. Why does people have to know the truth or not the truth? Deal with this by yourself. But that's not the point. The main point is that when you hear a point, I don't like the word criticism, but the point of correction or the place of growth, the areas of growth, when you hear it from your spouse, husband or wife, I know it's very painful. Swallow it and try to adapt the point she made. Because she sees you better than anybody else. You can fool the whole world as much as you can, as much as you want. But you cannot fool your spouse. They know you. So when you hear any point of correction, do not fight it. Or if you really want to fight it, postpone the fight. Say to yourself, I'm going to fight it in 2 weeks. I'm going to fight it in a week. But for now, think about it. What did she say to me? Why did she say that to me? What did she see in me that made her feel this way? It's very important. Instead of feeling, you know, when we were kids, it was a very common, sir, can you leave the drinks, just the cold ones a little bit? Thank you. Just a few minutes. Thank you so much. No, you can take, if you feel, if you need to do the job, do your job. So you can take it. Not a problem. Just do it. Just follow Nike's slogan. Just do it. No problem at all. So just go ahead. When we were kids, sometimes you go to somebody and you say, hey, you're so fat. It goes back to you. Your mom is too. Okay, so my mom is fat. It doesn't take away the fact that you're fat too. What does it have to do with anything? And sometimes we refuse to grow. And when your wife comes to you in a relationship, or your husband, and tells you a point of corrections, a point that she comes from goodness, she's trying to help you, swallow your pride. Swallow your pride. Allow this point to be inhaled. Because the only thing you should worry about is not what she's saying, but where is she coming from. If your wife tells you something, if your husband tells you something, try to inhale it in a positive way and listen to it. Because when you get married to a person, when you are in a relationship with the person, you're basically investing in buying a mirror. She sees you. She cares for you. Obviously, by the way, it is only apply when the point of growth or corrections comes in the proper terms, proper words, and proper tonality. Because if the point of criticism comes in a negative way, in screaming, yelling, bad words, excuse me, I don't care what you say to me, I'm completely becoming deaf on the spot. So it is crucial to make the point, in a very, very nice way, in a very positive way, and never in the moment of anger and using derogatory terms towards each other. The main idea is, I know it's sometimes painful, but pain can cause beautiful life, even if it's painful. And you can make this analogy in the physical world. Sometimes a knife of a doctor will be painful, but we know that it's good for us. Same thing with getting words, getting points of view from the person who is closest to you. She knows you. She knows you better than anybody else. So it is, even though it's a little bit, painful, listen to it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop right now because we need to leave the room at 9:30. The main idea is that I would like to just conclude is, I think our life can be tremendously improved if we, number one, separate ourselves from the equation and stop blaming each other, stop believing that someone else is in charge and responsible for our issues and conflicts in life, and start to take self-responsibilities. And self-responsibility means to look at the mirror and ask yourself one positive question. And this positive question is not why I'm here, why did that happen to me, but there is the ultimate $1 million winning question. And that is, what is that I can do to improve the current situation? What can I do? Should I talk to her? Should I buy her a gift? Should I speak to her friend? Should I surprise her? What should I do? Buy a mirror and look at yourself without blaming nobody, without believing that the world entirely was created against you. Nobody in the world is against you. Our life are in our hands. We can affect the goodness of our lives, not by fighting the darkness, but rather by lighting a candle. Lighting a candle of love, lighting a candle of compassion, lighting a candle of joy and happiness. And always remember, nobody in this universe can ever nor wanted to fight a sweetness, smile that you can carry on your face. Thank you so much.